Everyone, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott and I'm joined by Rob. You know what? I should have said bonjour because we are here to talk about Backlash France. I think that's how they officially titling this show. Let's just say Backlash in France. We're going to be going through the matches, each and every one of them, 5 in total at the moment, and we're going to be predicting and previewing the event overall as we go along. So we're going to be back talking Backlash right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Bonjour, Robbie.
Bonjour.
All right, we'll leave it at that. I was going to say ça va, but that's probably the limit of my French at the moment. It's been a long time.
Je
m'appelle, that's a good one. Right, let's not annoy the French, because you know what it's like as Brits when we watch stuff where they're like basing things on England or Britain, and they do all the stereotypical stuff. It's kind of cringy. So let's not be that, and let's kind of give them their due. It's going to be.
I mean, that just sums up this channel.
It's going to be exciting to have again another international pay-per-view, PLE even, with a different kind of flavor to it. This time, of course, French. It's going to be interesting to see what the presentation is going to be like. But I can't help but look back on last year's in Puerto Rico and think, man, that was one of the best shows of the year. Are we going to get anywhere near that? But funny enough, I think going into that, we weren't sure about that card either. I think it felt like this. If you told me this was, I think I remember saying it a lot around this time. I don't know if it was that event, but saying like, oh, if you told me this was a house show card, I'd believe you, or a PLE, it could be either one. And I do feel like this is kind of the same. And I guess that's the kind of awkwardness sometimes with Backlash anyway, coming after WrestleMania. But the draft just hasn't helped, in my opinion, as far as this build goes. Yeah, what are your thoughts going into Backlash? Because, I mean, we're recording this just after, day after Monday Night Raw, the go-home show to Backlash. And I was only watching some of the clips just now to try and catch up on it, just have an idea of what's been going on, because didn't get to watch the show properly. And it was hardly anything to watch that would actually help me with my predictions, because, again, the card's small anyway, but much of Raw was about other things.
I've watched Raw, so I've been trying to keep up now with Raw, SmackDown on Monday or Friday, and obviously AEW Wednesday, and then I kind of dip into their other shows throughout the week, and then obviously NXT. So like my full week is like I do try and keep up with all the wrestling. So if we have got a podcast to talk about, one of us has can lead everything, but nothing happened on. I think the only thing that happened on Raw is nothing to do with Backlash's card, which is Chad Gable, Bronson Reed, and Sami Zayn.
Yeah. I saw Tiffany Stratton and Naomi brawling, but I was setting up. Yeah. I can't. It was a blink and you miss it type thing. So that's not really going to do much for our predictions here either. But we got to do it. We will be locking these in now, and it is a new season. We are yet peek behind the curtain. we don't know who won last year because we haven't tallied it up yet. But we will get around to it, I'm sure, at some point. We go WrestleMania to WrestleMania, essentially. Of course, Mania is out of the way. First PLE of the brand new season. So let's get into our predictions. Now, Dan and Lucas, unfortunately, couldn't join us tonight, but they've sent in their predictions as well. So we'll be going through who they have kind of put down for the winners. Let's jump into one of the matches here then. And let's go with, we mentioned some of the competitors in it already. So let's go with Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship. How should we do this one, mate? Are you wanting to go first? Should I go first? Should we go to?
No, I can go first.
Go on, you go first, and in the meantime, I'll get their comments up as well.
All right. So with this one, I feel like Bayley shouldn't take a loss here, because she's only just got the title, and as her first defense, it being a triple threat match, and stuff happening, and like we've just had the draft, so it wouldn't make sense to her to lose it, and then she's still on one brand, and it's just such an awkward time. So I feel like Bayley has to retain, but I think coming out of this is the rise of Tiffany Stratton. Like I think that's what we're getting. So I think all three of them together are going to be great, but I do feel like this is the rise for Tiffany Stratton. This is her moment to really showcase, and this is her maybe like Money in the Bank. It's the build for her. So I think if anything, this is for us to see what's next for Tiffany Stratton. But yeah, even though I'm saying that, it would be ridiculous for Bayley not to retain. So I feel like Bayley's got to retain.
Yeah, I mean, this is the awkward thing again about Backlash, right? That they can't just undo everything they've just done at Mania, these big stories they've just told. So, of course, we'll get to that later on when it comes to Cody Rhodes. A spoiler alert, ain't no way is that man going to be leaving without the strap. So we'll get to that later on. But I feel it's a similar thing here for Bayley. Yeah, this is a somewhat different scenario because, as you say, there's a clear kind of path for pushing this new superstar in Tiffany Stratton. She's had an incredible kind of showing lately. They really have kind of made it a big deal to kind of show who she is, what she's all about as well. But yeah, I'm just not sure if they're going to do that this soon. I think a lot of the card really is kind of, well, we can see where this is going, but is it happening on this show? And part of me thinks that one of these inevitable turns or storyline progression kind of aspects will have to happen at Backlash for it to be seen as a memorable event. So that's the kind of thing that's making me go, oh, maybe something is going to happen. But yeah, not entirely sold either. So are you going straight up with Bayley then? Yeah.
I feel like that's the only way it can go because it's a triple threat. It kind of rules out the idea of a DQ or like I think the only other thing they could do, I don't think we've ever had it, would be all three of them are down, and then it's like a triple basically like count out. I guess that'd be the only other, because if there is interference, it's allowed.
It is a tough one, right? Because you got to look Bayley look good because she's just won the title. Unless you're taking it off, you got to have Tiffany Stratton looking good because, as we say, she's surely the new focus going forward. But then also you got to have Naomi looking good because, well, she's only just come back and there's already been this kind of sense of, is she getting lost in the shuffle quickly?
Exactly. And I think with Naomi as well, she's also I don't know if they've got a team name yet, but obviously we've got Jade Cargill and Bianca that obviously she's associated with, that would just come off again of them having their match at Mania. So
well, yeah, exactly. Will that continue? I mean, there could be some twists and turns in the match itself, but
exactly.
Again, we'll get there later on. But yeah, it's just it's one of those times in wrestling when you just like you're kind of in and just before Mania is like this as well. We say quite often, don't we? It's kind of like almost like a wasteland, nothing's really going on. And then sometimes they have a big kind of surprise. So with this one, though, I'm going to stick to kind of who's already the champ, just like you have, and say, yeah, I think Bayley's going to win this as well. Dan has also gone for Bayley, and also Lucas has gone for Bayley. Looks like a clean sweep here. Either way, we're all getting a point, or we're all not getting a point with that one. So let's move on to the next match. And let's take it over to this really interesting storyline picking up now between the new version of the Bloodline versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Now, this is exciting because there is kind of a freshness to the Bloodline now. It does feel weird because it doesn't feel like the Bloodline because there's two of them and one of them weren't a member before. But I'm loving what they're doing with Heyman in the background and kind of being nervous around Solo. And kind of reluctantly going along with him. Their reasoning for bringing Roman out of the draft was quite clever, and kind of, him saying, look, neither show knows what they're getting when they draft the Bloodline, because you're adding new members, and Tama Tonga came out. I like that little backstage segment, but again, I've liked everything they've been doing lately, and a clever little feud to get them involved with straight away with two good baby faces on the opposite side that can kind of continue this climb for them. and the inevitable arrival once again of Roman Reigns back on these shores as well. So I say I'll go first with this one. I say the Bloodline are going to win because it would be crazy if they didn't. Like it's a new version of Bloodline. They need to put their flag down and make a point with this one. So I think the Bloodline will win, and I think they should win. What about you?
Same sort of reasons. However, I feel interference is going to happen because we get bloodline stuff. I don't think it's going to be Jimmy Uso. Obviously, I'm not sure of you how much you've seen. Obviously, he got kicked out of the bloodline. Jey Uso, obviously not associated with them. Roman, nowhere to be seen at the moment. However, Zilla Fatu could apparently has signed. So could this be the moment where Zilla Fatu appears and helps them, and then that they become like he joins the bloodline? That's another.
The other one was Jacob Fatu as well. That's another possibility. So you've got, yeah. I mean, that's a great point actually. Like bloodline gonna bloodline is what we should probably say. They always have these interferences and shenanigans. So maybe this is where, because it does feel a little bit bare. That's my only kind of negative at the moment about this new bloodline is that it's just a tag team, so it's a little tough with that. But yeah, for me, I think it should be the bloodline, and like I say, it will be the bloodline.
Yeah, I feel like it would be crazy if they lost, because anything that they would have done then you just can't take serious. Obviously Tama coming in is fantastic. Obviously he's not Samoan, but by association and the fact that they've what's it called? Do you know when they have like a blood connection?
Blood oath, yeah, and we've got the link up with Haku, his adopted father as well. Yeah, I mean, big fan of Tama Tonga for a while as well. What he was doing out there in Japan. It's always been bubbling under the surface whether or not he will arrive in WWE, and yeah, man, he looks like a beast. I think they've presented him really well so far, and Solo as well, kind of changing his character, talking more. Of course, he has to now because of who he is. So
he feels like he's now the front guy.
Yeah, and Tama is Solo. It's like what Solo was
for now. For now, but yeah, like it has to be bloodline, right? I don't think it could go any other way. I mean, if they've got an RKO show, I think on Friday. I think that's
is that what they're calling it? Okay, yeah.
I think they're calling it the RKO show.
Right. Okay.
Believe. I think that's Friday, unless I've got my things confused and it was last week, but I don't remember seeing it. Yeah, so I reckon they're going to do something like that. They've got to do something big on SmackDown for this go home show because, man, like other than a couple of things, they're not selling Backlash that well, as the next big PLE. So yeah, but I reckon they Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn can take a loss here. Sorry, and Randy Orton, they can take an L. And
definitely
bounce back.
Definitely, yeah. I think it is, again, the smartest thing to do is to give it to Bloodline, and whether or not we see new members, that'll be interesting. Of course, we will be back on the day of the PLE, guys. We're going to be doing our regular build-up show. So if you haven't already joined us for one of those, we basically do a stream on the day of the PLE to get us all kind of hyped up and in the mood as well. So what we'll do there, we'll go on to kind of last-minute rumors and stuff like that, because they're always flying around on social media on the day of a PLE. So join us for that on Saturday as well. So stick with us here at Rebellious Noise, and we hope to see you there. Let's move on to the next match, though. Let's go with another title match here. Let's go with another former Bloodline member as well, with Jey Uso challenging Damian Priest. And I say this is another example, Rob, where like at some stage I could see the title changing here. I could see it going on Jey Uso, right? But not at the moment again. But then with a lot of these results, you kind of wouldn't be shocked in another way as well. I just think building Jey to go for this title kind of makes sense, but he should probably win the IC or something like that first, right? Or the US. So maybe that's where they're going to go, because they've had this kind of Logan Paul situation going on Raw as well. So it kind of seems distracting from this whole storyline.
It's strange because, I said, I don't know how much you've seen, or you said you've seen clips of Raw. So Logan Paul was out there. He's doing his usual stick And then Braun Strowman come out. So, but then we've also got LA Knight that had something with him. So, like, who's his next opponent? Obviously, we don't know right now. On top of that, I feel like if anyone's going to be US champion, it should be LA Knight right now. That he should be the next guy in line. But then Jey Uso, if you put him for either of those titles, kind of, if you go for the IC, great, but then you got to take it off Sammy. And then Sammy's kind of involved in this Chad Gable and Bronson Reed storyline, and I think there's got a lot of legs and a lot of story to tell there.
Yeah.
So, and if you put him in with the US title, does Jey Uso overshine LA Knight and Braun Strowman in that moment? Like, he, no matter what mid card you put him in, he kind of doesn't fit right now. Like, there's not one for him to go at, and you go, oh, like, that makes sense. So, weirdly, him going for the world heavyweight isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, like you say, because there's a lot going on elsewhere. So
it's just
maybe
busy
it
at the
frees him
moment.
up. Yeah, it is. It isn't. Hey, it's not a terrible thing. You know, there's a lot of kind of stars, it feels like, at the moment, and kind of building star, rising stars, I guess I should say. But yeah, at the same time, I don't think the title's going to change here personally, because you've got Damian Priest, someone who, you know, everybody was mocking about the Money in the Bank briefcase situation. And I said on the night 2 build up, didn't I, at WrestleMania, that maybe this is when he's going to be like, you know what, I was smart all along. It turns out, you know, the plan. And that is exactly what they did. They also went with that in the storyline. That's how he's explained it. There's a kind of a lot of interesting stuff going on dynamic wise with the Judgment Day as well, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some other point. But I do feel that because it felt obvious that Damian Priest might become a short reigning champion, I actually feel like he's going to hold the title for quite some time. I'm not saying, you know, Gunther level or Roman Reigns level. I'm saying, and this doesn't sound that much considering those 2 reigns, I'm saying something like SummerSlam. I could see him losing it around that kind of time. So for me, I'd like to keep the title on for him a little bit longer to give him credibility with it, the reign credibility, and again, you've got to remember the new title itself, sort of, because, you know, it's got a similar design and name to an old one. But there we go. I think it should stay on Damian. I think it will stay on Damian. What are you thinking?
I wouldn't be against Jey Uso being a champion.
I know. Look, I get that as well.
You know,
I'd feel bad for Damian Priest though.
I would, but again, it's one of those things I've said before. You're either a really good champion or a really good chaser. But we can't say that, one, technically Priest hasn't chased the title yet because he was Money in the Bank. So he was so he wasn't chasing.
Yeah, not properly anyway, yeah.
So do you know what I mean? So, and we haven't actually seen him as a champion yet. So it's really hard to judge where they're going to go with him and how he's going to be as a champion.
Yeah.
I think losing on your first title defense would be, it's not great. I mean, you don't want to be a transitional champion unless you're doing it kind of like Drew did for winning it off Seth and then do it. That as a transitional champion, we've seen that happen a few times. I'm not against it, but depending on if it's done right. But when you have a long build up for a briefcase, like a good cash in, and then you lose it the following month, I think that's just bad booking.
Definitely.
So I feel Damian Priest has to win, but I think there's going to be some sort of interference, like for him to, and I think he's going to moan at them about it, because I don't know if you've been kind of seeing over the last few weeks, obviously since Ripley's gone, for the injury,
he's kind of stepped up, right?
Yeah, and obviously Dom's out with an elbow thing, so it's just JD McDonough and
Finn Balor,
Finn Balor. So I'm not saying they're bad, but all of a sudden they feel like they've become like stooges.
It doesn't feel like the same group anymore. Yeah, the dynamics completely changed, which is a shame, because at the end of Mania, or at the end of his segment at least, when they were holding up their titles, the men's and the women's, and obviously now we've got Rhea Ripley injured, but again, at least we're building to these kind of, you know, I'm sure you've seen the stuff about, you know, Dom potentially being in on the Liv Morgan attack and stuff like that. There's some interesting kind of Easter eggs going on there as well. But again, we'll touch on that more another time, I'm sure. But yeah, it's an interesting time for Judgment Day. They've really got to take advantage of the momentum they've already built. And I think that's exactly the same when it comes to Damian Priest. You mentioned there that we haven't really had the chance to see him as a champ, but thankfully we have, when he held another title, the US title, of course. And I had a opportunity to have a chat with Damian Priest at the time when he was a US champion as well. And then, of course, once again, not that long after, actually, when he was then officially part of the Judgment Day as well. And it's always nice talking to these guys, of course, and we encourage you to check out our interviews on this channel. Really kind of privileged to be able to kind of be in the position to get this kind of content for you guys. But when he did win that, like, it just felt like, oh, he's such a nice guy. I felt so good for him. So, yeah, go back and check those interviews out if you haven't already. We've got plenty more on this channel to bring your way as well. But let's get into some more predictions here. I'm going to let you know what the predictions for these past two matches were from Lucas and Dan, by the way. Lucas went for the Bloodline. And what do you know? Dan also went for the Bloodline. Coming into the world title match. Now, remember, me and Rob have both gone for Damian Priest. Dan said the same. And Lucas, wow, Lucas said Jey Uso. So, yeah, very interesting from Lucas there. We'll have to see if he can join us on the build-up show to elaborate on that prediction a little bit more. Although I think he did say something about tossing a coin on some of these. So not sure about that one. But hey, we've had the first change of different opinion, at least in the predictions so far. So you never know. Maybe Jey Uso's walking out with the World Heavyweight Championship. Let's get into our next match to predict here, mate. It's going to go back to the women's division now. We got the Kabuki Warriors, the champions, women's tag champs, of course, going up against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Now, I'm really excited for this match because I'm excited to see where they go storyline-wise with those who aren't holding the titles. Now, I would be okay with them winning the belts, but we all know what's coming, right? Surely, Jade Cargill's turn on Bianca, right? When it happens, I don't know. It's going to be a great feud. It's going to be a great moment. Does it happen at Backlash because they want to get the ball rolling with Jade in a certain way, or does it happen at Backlash because, let's be honest, it doesn't look like a lot's going to happen at Backlash otherwise? Or do they hold off on it and build this kind of story between them a little bit more? They hold the titles together and then they lose them, and then there's a turn from Jade when they've kind of got a little bit more out of this team. What do you reckon is going to happen here?
Again, see, I'm in two minds because why does Jade have to turn? Firstly.
Yeah, so when I said it, I was thinking, I guess there's a chance Bianca. And look, that does make sense as well because we wanted it a while ago. But we got to be honest, it didn't happen. And I think there's a reason it didn't happen. As much as we said before, she got kind of... look, I think she's fantastic. I had the privilege of interviewing her as well. But about a year or so ago, she was getting quite stale. And she needed to freshen up. She went away and she's got a new lease of life, I find. She stepped back from the women's kind of title picture as well. And sometimes that's all you need. Drew McIntyre was the same situation. We've had it with plenty of others in the past. John Cena, Randy Orton, you name them. But for me, there's something about Bianca that has that John Cena quality where they don't want to turn her. Yeah. And I saw a clip the other day where they showed from their reality show, her and Montez Ford, where they were talking about how they failed. She basically was saying how they had failed to turn Montez heel and it didn't work. It seems like she's of the opinion, just from that small clip, don't get me wrong, that maybe she kind of would be looking at the same way about her own character. So as much as I think she might enjoy being a heel again, because I thought she was so cool in NXT when she was, I just don't see that happening anytime soon when the kind of carrot is dangled right in front of your face to make it be Jade Cargill and get basically the character she was in AEW going again. So go back to
I just look. If one of them turns heel, great. Like it's refreshing, but you can't have Jade lose. All right, not now. So again, it's one of the things that if Jade loses, and is it Bianca's fault?
Undefeated singles competition again, they could do that. So yeah, it's Bianca's fault and Jade turns on her, or just during the match. It could be one of those.
Yeah, but then if Jade turns on during a match, she still takes the loss. And having the loss on the record.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a hard...
Yeah. Can you get DQ'd for hitting your own partner? I don't think you can. So
no. I mean, what would be good, I would like to see is, let's say, for example, we had Bianca turn and it was mid-match. Bianca turns on her, Jade's on her own. Jade finishes the match against both of them. Makes her look dominant, and then we get the build with her and Bianca. And then if we already have her teaming up with Naomi because they've been in the past. So technically, there's a vacant title there, so Naomi could like grab it. I wouldn't be against that.
I mean, I would, because it makes the whole 3-bed rule thing again. But
well, no, because Bianca would have left.
Yeah, but you're saying that
if Bianca would turn on Jade, mid-match, and then walk out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but she's still giving the title to someone that didn't win it, is what I'm saying. Which I'm,
yeah, but we had that with
no,
Chelsea Green and Piper.
Oh, that was ridiculous as well. But yeah. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna say I'll tell you my prediction here, and then I'll give you a little bit of a leg up by letting you know Dan and Lucas's before you commit to yours as well. So I'm gonna say, God, I don't know why I chose to go first because I actually find it's kind of hard because I said something's got to be big on this show, in my opinion, and this feels like the chance to do that. So I'm gonna go with them holding out a little bit longer. Oh, but then they'd have to win the titles. And what happens to Damage Control without the titles? I'm actually really stuck.
Is EO floating around at the moment?
Oh yeah, because she's not got a title either, she anymore. So where are they gonna go with them? You know what? I'm gonna try and sway us a little bit easier. Let's see what the other guys say. Lucas has said Jade and Bianca, and Dan has said Jade and Bianca. I don't know if I wanted to read that after all. I say I feel like the show needs a big moment, but I feel that the moment could be a SummerSlam moment. So I'm going to say Jade and Bianca win the titles, and that will be considered a cool moment at the show. But, the one we're looking for is the big storyline one between the two of them, I think, in that feud too. But maybe it won't be at SummerSlam, maybe before SummerSlam to have a match at SummerSlam. But either way, I do feel like them winning the titles could be kind of cool anyway. But at the same time, wouldn't be surprised if she turned at Backlash. So yeah, screw it. I'm locking it in, even though I kind of regret already Bianca and Jade.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, I feel like it has to be them because that's what makes sense, if you know what I mean. Like, it would be really strange if they, like, you can't bring someone like Jade in, have her look dominant, and then do like just take the L at Backlash after she's just won at Mania.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she could have turned around Mania anyway, but at the same time, I do understand that would feel like rushing it. Like you say, you bring her in. There's so much you can do with her. Do we really need to rush into the storyline with Bianca straight away? Probably not. So
it could be a slow burn.
Exactly. Yeah, and it would mean so much more to the WWE fans who've never really seen her before. Anyway, like those that have only just watched one company, for example, were just not really aware of her work before. It will kind of help build the emotion for them for when that turn finally happens. Because again, we're talking like it's guaranteed, but it does feel like what makes sense to me. So yeah, maybe that is what's going to happen. Again, them winning the titles on the show will be kind of a cool moment for the show anyway. So I'm going to go for that. I don't know what it means for Damage Control. That's my concern there, which feels like a theme for the last 18 months. Going, what about Damage Control?
Exactly. Look, I feel that it will be Jade and Bianca. I feel like that's the obvious answer. And booking wise, I also believe that they would be the first two black women to hold the WWE Women's Tag titles.
I guess so, yeah.
So obviously there's a history moment there, obviously, and it's great for the women's division, and obviously, for that as well. So it's obviously a talking point. So again, I'm not against that. I think that's great. At the moment, obviously, we've got Swerve Strickland, Carmelo Hayes. Yeah. I think Moose as well. So like, dude, like, like I'm.
It's a good time.
It is. It's a good time right now. So yeah, my only thing is I want Jade to come in and do a little bit more than what she's done, because I feel she's green, fine, and she does look great, but I can't just have her do a couple of kicks, couple of, and that's it. Like, I just want something. Do you know? It's like watching the old Goldberg matches and Ryback.
Yeah, but I think that's the way they want to
Strowman.
build her, though, and that's kind of, you're going to get more of that in the tag match. To be fair, you know, so
Yeah,
I don't think you're
I
going
know,
to get a change
but
anytime soon. But I get where you're coming from.
I just think for her sake, I don't want fans going, "Oh, but she didn't do much."
Yeah, and she only does this. Yeah, I
And
know
she
what
only
you mean.
does it, and while she at the PC and all it, like, I get that she's a spectacle, and like she's compared to other women of the past, but she's the first of her kind now. So make it meaningful and like let us showcase of what she can do. That would be my only criticism with the booking of her so far. But yeah, I just feel like it's got to be Jade and Bianca. It just feels right.
Yeah.
And I mean, Damage Control, I mean, they're not really doing much anyway, man. Like, Io's, Bayley's gone. They got rid of her. Io's lost.
So what do they do? Just split them up then, or because I mean, if they do, that's even worse because like, Asuka's not going for the title anytime soon, is she? You know what I mean? No. Like, it's just, it will kind of, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot more you can do with it. Maybe they just go back and forth for a while. If you lose the titles, you're gonna want to get them back. So I guess they've got that at least. So that's not too bad. The other thing that makes me think again that this turn could be happening at Backlash is, did you see when Bianca said on SmackDown that she hopes Jade gets drafted to SmackDown so that they continue being the team, kicking butt, being dominant, whatever it is she said. I just felt like that was a good way to swerve the audience in going, yeah, she's on SmackDown. There we go. They're going to be a team. When really, even if it's not having a Backlash, I do think this is the reason long term. It's because she will turn on her eventually. So it would be quite cool if it was on Backlash to show that kind of, not naivety, but like optimism from Bianca as a character saying, oh man, I really hope she gets drafted to SmackDown so we continue being buddies and hang out together, when really she was drafted to SmackDown so that she could turn on you, or like it worked out the way you wanted, but trust me, you didn't want it that way, like, it's, I think that would be quite a cool little twist. And because she highlighted that, I thought, oh, maybe it is happening soon. But then the other side of things, I go, she is, again, you're kind of John Cena babyface. That's the kind of thing that character would just say anyway, even if it wasn't foreshadowing.
Yeah, I always think of, like, if you're going to turn someone, then you need to have someone. If you're going to turn one person heel, you do need someone else to go face. Like, not to even it out, but especially in a women's division that is stacked. But I mean, you got to look at what they're going to do. So even if they do have this rivalry and just say Bianca does turn, we get that moment. But then let's say overall Jade wins it. Where does she go from there? There has to be something next. And at the moment, obviously, we've got Bayley and Becky as champions. Rhea obviously wants to come back. We've got Liv Morgan is stuck in the shuffle at the moment. Naomi, Nia Jax attacked Bayley on SmackDown, and now she feud at a match against Liv on Raw.
There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Bro, it's so busy. It's just like, and then obviously the draft comes along. Nothing comes into effect till next Monday, on the draft.
Yeah.
So, like, who goes where and what's happening? So, I just feel at the moment they can't really do a lot of turns because does it play into their next lot of plans? If someone turns later on, are they on Raw and SmackDown? Have they been split? Do you know what I mean? So it's just weird. Like, it's just such a weird time.
I mean, there's a lot of kind of talking points within this little section itself, that we won't have time to dive into them now, but just to kind of highlight that we could definitely dive into this in the future. And we've talked about how the women's division could do with a mid-card title. We want to have a conversation about that. If anyone's watching and fancies hearing that, let us know. We'll definitely kind of be up for it, I think, because a few of us have spoke about that for a while. We've also talked about how the PLE calendar is kind of stacked weirdly. I think it was more of an issue a few years ago, but now that Triple H has taken over, it does seem like a lot of these have changed and started to become a bit more define the calendar. But I do think the draft has always for me been a big part of that, a big part of the issue, its placement, and I think it hasn't really helped at the moment. Then you've got that confusion of this period between WrestleMania and Backlash anyway, So I guess some would argue, therefore, put the draft there because it's confusing anyway. But I just think, like you say, it's so busy because of that, and so much is going on, and it feels like certain things don't matter because of it. So yeah, it's a tough one. But again, a million kind of podcasts there alone. So we'll try and we'll touch on those.
There's that alone, and obviously you got the people from NXT coming up. Then you got Natty who went back down again. Like, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, and they're getting the North American women's title.
So
that's pretty cool.
So I just there has to be. There's only so much that we can kind of think of. Does it work like this? Does it work like that? But at the moment, as you said, this because it's so busy. Calling certain things is easy, and then things like this is. But from a booking standpoint, it makes sense like this. But from another standpoint, it makes sense this way. So, and I can't stand it when it's like that. I just think it's too busy.
But I guess that's the exciting thing in some ways. Keep you on your toes. You don't want it too predictable. And I think, again, this show has the potential to kind of have a good surprise. Again, Backlash last year, one of my favorite shows of the year. I thought it was fantastic. The whole Puerto Rican vibe to it and the way they kind of did that. I really hope that the French show gets a real kind of...
This is a bold statement. I don't think the French... I'm not saying the French audience aren't going to be loud and proud, right? But I don't think they're going to be as loud as the Puerto Rican audience.
They can't. I mean, the whole Bad Bunny thing last year was
exactly that. Because
stuff.
I mean, when you have someone coming out and singing a song of a wrestler that's not a guy that's not actually a wrestler, is a performer, they all know that, and obviously because it's Puerto Rican and they're supporting Puerto Ricans, and obviously against Damian Priest, and then we had Selena Vega versus Ripley, like
stuff,
So like it was very Puerto Rican based, if you know what
almost
I mean.
lightning in a bottle at the same time for that
So and I just don't think the French are gonna get that loud.
It'll be more similar to the Australian Elimination Chamber, So which again, there was an argument going into that, weren't there? Like, the Aussies have been stiffed here because like there's so much up in the air and they didn't get all certain stars and whatever else. But Backlash again is a confusing time, and Chamber can be the same as well. But let's get into what is probably going to be the main event just because of who is in the match, and that is the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes defending against AJ Styles. Cody's winning. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one. No, I mean, I'll be honest. If Cody doesn't retain, it's tough for me to say I'd stop watching because that makes it sound like I'm just a super diehard Cody fan. As much as I want them to finish his story, it's not just about that. It's just that, like, come on, it would be stupid. It would be ridiculous if you took the title off of him now. As much as I like AJ, and I do think AJ's been underutilized in recent years, and I'd like to see him have one big go at the title once again. Come on, like, if there's any title not to end at the following PLE is the incredible kind of story of
it's like a 2.5 year build.
Exactly, and then beyond that, the layers in his own kind of personal history, Dusty Rhodes leaving, coming back, AEW, the Bloodline storyline and a million different twists and turns as well. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, if he loses the title Backlash, it will be like, just destroying all of that work in my eyes, in some way at least. Yes, we still have that moment, but it would be very silly. So
I was going to say, I think we're going to get a best of 3 in this.
Okay.
So I'm not saying the title's going to change hands. But I think we are going to get like a best of 3. So obviously Cody retains. That's for 100%. I feel that's going to happen. But I think maybe the OC becomes like the next Bullet Club. Like we get it. Like it actually becomes. Do you remember how the OC were before when they were like they beat up John Cena, kind of, but more serious? Like it's not the cheesy kind of crap of what we had there. And I think that's what we get. So maybe AJ comes back with the OC, or the OC come out
for the 17th time. I mean, what else are they going to do with him? So
but I can't. As much as I'd love to see AJ Styles win the title again, it's just not his. It's not his time. Like, he doesn't. Him as a heel, kind of carrying it. He's done it before, because obviously it was feuded against Dean Ambrose. And I think if I remember rightly, he beat Jinder for it on a SmackDown. I think. It was a very strange like time, that 2019 or whatever it was. So yeah, like I just can't see AJ having it right now. He doesn't need it. He's got this new, like the new music, this new look. The guy looks like he's got muscles on muscles at the moment. I'm not sure what they got in the water in the performance center, but it's something special. But yeah, I just can't see it right now. Like now isn't the time. But I think a best of 3. I mean, how long does Cody's run have to be before you be like, you can take the loss now? Like,
yeah, true.
What's acceptable?
And who would it be? I mean, he's got to do this whole thing with the Rock, it feels like, as well. So will that be with the title? I mean, it doesn't need to be, in my opinion. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, what's acceptable is probably
9 months, 6 months.
I was going to say 6, but then even that, like 4, like it kind of in some way, even if he lost it, I think wrestling fans like of the newer generation who've just started watching, for example, so let's say 2 years ago, to them, it would seem pathetic if Cody lost at SummerSlam because they'd be like, how can this guy have it for so long, as in Roman Reigns? And he didn't even have like this kind of crazy story. And now the guy that has a crazy story and finally gets the title off of Roman, loses it after a few months, it would seem bad. But like in the grand scheme of things of how they usually do things or have done things historically, where, all the way to the other extreme with hot potato in titles, SummerSlam would be an admirable reign, right? That's what, May, June, July, August, usually it's about 4 months anyway.
I would say, I actually think Survivor Series
brings it up to about 6 or 7, right?
So yeah, so I think like if he dropped it at Survivor Series, I wouldn't mind that. Like,
yeah, but then I don't want him winning the Rumble again.
No, but I think after we get to a point where Cody drops the title, I would love to see a heel Cody go back for the title. So he done it as the face. Now we get Cody the heel.
Yeah, kind of like what we've been having with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, but do you remember with Cody with black hair and the Bullet Club Cody and like I was literally watching it the other day. The Cody when he turned on Kenny Omega, like that moment, and just like that. I think everyone could get behind that. But before we get there, obviously we need to get through this. I don't think AJ Styles is going to take it. I think we've got some feuds lined up for Cody. Obviously, it'll be. Am I right in thinking it's Randy Orton as well? Could possibly be in the.
Yeah, Randy and Cody would be a big one.
That I feel like that's going to happen. Maybe Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
So there's a few people to kind of keep him busy. But
speaking of which, actually, I should say on last Friday I guested on a stream with Give Me a Whole Year and Andrew Sports of Wrestling Royalty on both their channels, where it was Rebellious Noise versus Give Me a Whole Year in a kind of fantasy draft. And one of the things that I fantasy booked was this whole Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns thing as well. So Randy Orton, I should say. If you haven't already, go check that out and check out our friends on those channels. They usually join us as well for the build-up shows, so hopefully they'll be with us in due course as well, perhaps on this weekend's build-up for Backlash. If not, I'm sure very soon. Comment here from Mr. Viper Yeet. Yeet. Lots going on here with Jey Uso lately. Of course, we touched on his match earlier on with Damian Priest, but be interested to know what people think. Can they see a scenario where Jey Uso does win the title? A few other kind of big moments on this match potential we've talked about already is the potential turn of Jade Cargill on Bianca, or you never know, the other way around. Now, there's no title to talk about here, but it does feel like the Bloodline need to get that win in order to kind of cement them as this new version of Bloodline, and who knows, a new member. And that alone, Rob, could be the kind of surprise from the show.
That could be, yeah.
It could be. We've also got another title here where it doesn't seem, again, it's going to change. But if any of them do, what one would you say is more likely to change? This one, the women's, or the two men's world? I think the two men's world titles are the least likely. Probably the tag women's, because they've had them for a little while. Let's do it in order of likelihood, right? For me, the most likely change is the women's tag. The second most likely is Bayley to lose. The third most likely is Damian to lose. The fourth most likely is Cody Rhodes to lose. Right? Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, but I think I would be more shocked if, strangely, if Damian Priest lost, not Cody. And I know that sounds really strange.
What?
Because we've had this with Cody. Him, if he dropped the title, he's a good chaser, right? If Jey Uso got it, I think it's a bigger shocking moment than AJ Styles winning it. Do you know what I mean? Because no one expects Jey to win.
The shock in Cody losing is Cody losing, not AJ winning. Whereas the other way around, it'd still be shocking that Damian would lose. But
I think the shock that Jey Uso is now world champion is. You know, I think that's a bigger moment than Cody dropped the title, especially if it's by like interference or something like that, you know, or bloodline or something. Like, I could see that happening, and Cody like, okay, I've got to chase, you know, because that's still a redemption for him.
I mean, this is the good thing about Jey Uso as well, is that there's still a lot more they can do with him before they circle back inevitably to him and Jimmy and the rest of the bloodline as well.
Well,
you know, the Reigns situation, like we say, maybe a new member joining the bloodline at Backlash as well. There's just so much they can do, and that's the good thing. It's given new life to the bloodline, which I'm really pleased about, because it definitely, while it was the best storyline in modern wrestling history at times, it was also quite stale every now and then. So they've done well to pick it back up.
I would say the build for Mania with the Bloodline and Cody and The Rock and everything else was so good, like so good, that it just feels like they've completely taken their foot off the gas. Like the draft wasn't.
Yeah, it's like a transitional period, and it's exciting because we've got stuff coming. But yeah, they're not exactly full strength. This isn't the same as a month ago with The Rock. You're right, but
100%.
It's exciting, but that's why it feels like something will probably happen this weekend, or if not, very soon, because it needs to, right? It can't just be a tag team, you know, being a little bit naughty on SmackDown and Heyman being a bit scared until Roman shows up. Like, it needs to be a dominant force and a bit more than just two of them, in my opinion. So it will feel weird, like calling essentially a completely different group by the same name, because obviously at first Solo weren't even in it; he was a new member, so. It will look completely different to that first version of the Bloodline, and yet we're still going to call them the Bloodline. So that'd be strange.
Well, we've done the same thing with the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, true. Nation changed quite a bit from the very start.
The original, to how it ended.
Yeah, that's
it's just, you know, someone's still there, so the name stays, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is that the rules? I mean, to be fair, you can say that it was only one person, but it was Solo and Jimmy. Until we got kicked out.
Yeah, but he's injured though, isn't he? So Jimmy will kind of cycle back at some point as well. But
I feel Jimmy and Jay. I can see Jimmy and Jay going against Solo and Tama, possibly at some point. That will be
before Roman again. And imagine that, like two versions of the Bloodline, like the original Bloodline and their baby faces. Like, that'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but cool.
Just out of curiosity, have you got a thought on who you think the tribal chief is, and if they're going to say anything about that on Backlash?
What do you mean?
So they're saying Solo's obviously everything that they've done so far as the new bloodline.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga and Solo have both said by orders of the tribal chief. Well, Tama
so you think there might be a different tribal chief?
So do you think?
I just assumed Solo was the new tribal chief, or do you reckon it's going to be The Rock?
I don't think it's Solo. Sorry.
Do you think it could be The Rock?
I ain't got a clue. I really don't know. I mean,
I'd be surprised if The Rock comes back straight away. But he is more involved with the company now, and it would be a nice little swerve from him saying recently, "I'm going away for a bit, coming back later." So that'd be kind of cool. I mean, but again, this is the good thing. It really has pumped new life into the bloodline. There's so much we can kind of, get excited for again. And this is what's good about it. I know, again, a lot of people are looking at the Backlash card alone and saying, oh, like, is it really that exciting? But just like the one last year, and there's just like several PLEs in a recent kind of history, yes, you could look at it and go, this is a house show. But you can also look at it under certain eyes and go, no, this makes sense as a PLE, and it could really, really deliver. So I'm looking forward to that hopefully being the case. We're going to be back here, of course, on Saturday covering Backlash in depth with quite a few streams, actually. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. The first one we'll be doing on that night will be to have the build-up show, which is where we get ourselves and yourselves hyped up for the event as well. And, of course, we'll be coming back with our instant reaction review and maybe a few other special streams sprinkled in there as well, if we're lucky. Now, as far as this channel goes, we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. If you haven't already checked us out, we appreciate you joining us today. If you've been with us before, we appreciate you, as always, for coming back. Please subscribe for more of our content, again, with our Backlash stuff coming this weekend, but also for our content where we have had the kind of, again, the privilege to be able to talk to WWE superstars on your behalf over the past few years as well. We've got great interviews on this channel with the likes of LA Knight. We've had the chance to have great conversations with the likes of Rhea Ripley as well. So if you haven't already, please check out some of the interviews on this very channel. Rob, you got anything you've got to say really before we get out of here as far as Backlash goes?
Yeah, only the last thing. Obviously the glitching, obviously, I don't know if you've seen it. The glitching, all the audio issues randomly and then working again. Are we going to see Uncle Howdy at Backlash?
I mean, it's really heating up. So maybe, yeah. I mean, the other time would be on SmackDown or Raw or King and Queen of the Ring, which I think would be potentially dragging it out a bit too far, even though it's only a couple of months away, a couple of weeks away, a few weeks away at least. But I don't know if that's the right place to do it. Let me just double check when the next PLEs are. Let's quickly go on that. So obviously we've got Backlash coming up this Saturday. Yeah, King Queen of the Ring on the 25th of May. And then we've got Clash at the Castle in Scotland, of course, in June, the 15th of June. Money in the Bank, July the 6th. SummerSlam, early August this time, the 3rd, because in late August we've got Bash in Berlin, August 31st. So yeah, it's going to be an incredible kind of list of PLEs that we're going to cover right here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. So you know what? Subscribe if you haven't. But to answer your question, will it happen at Backlash? So part of me thinks, no, they'll do it in front of an American audience, like, you know, Bray's return that time. But like, if you look at that list, well, they haven't got a PLE in America until SummerSlam, so I guess that's a little bit too long to hold out for. So it's got to be soon, right? So yeah, why not, man? Maybe we will see it this weekend, which would be really cool, man.
If we don't see it this weekend, I feel like we won't see it at King of the Ring, and I feel we'll see it at Clash. That's my
Clash. Wow,
that's my because imagine that in front of a UK audience. Whoa.
Yeah,
it'd be loud.
Well, we're yet to see what the French audience are going to be like, so maybe they'll be worthy.
Do you think they're going to do the 10 count in French?
I hope so. I loved it when in Puerto Rico they were.
Puerto Rico's done it, yeah. So
cool.
Yeah, man, I want to see them, you know, in Friends. French it up. That's what I want to see. I want to see.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting seeing what kind of French flavor they give to it. You know, I know in years gone by they had especially a lot of French Canadians. You know, although there are cultural links between the two, it's still very different. So I wonder if they do try and shoehorn something like Kevin Owens. Just
I was going to say, French, obviously, yeah,
or Sami Zayn as well. I guess, you know, I know it's again slightly different, but yeah.
I was going to say, do you think that match will be added to Backlash, which will be Sammy, Chad, and Bronson Reed? Because
so
that's heating up.
There's still possible, you know, matches to come here, as you say. There's a few more that could get added last minute. If they do, we'll cover them on the build-up show. We'll add them to our predictions as well. But I think that's the most likely, some sort of scenario with the IC, because again, otherwise you're holding out until just doing it on Raw or holding off until King Queen of the Ring, which I think has got enough going on. Whereas last time they scrapped that in favor of Night of Champions, I think it was. So I think they really need to focus on. I mean, I'd love it if the tournament happened on the night rather than the whatever. You can have qualification matches, but the main bracket, in my opinion, has got to be on the night. So
I used to do that, didn't they?
It did, yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see. And once more, touching on your Uncle Howdy thing, you know what? I'd say it probably is quite likely. So again, leading up to that, we're going to have SmackDown still. I'm sure there'll be a few kind of funky hidden messages there as well. So we'll try and pick up with that on our build-up show again. And again, hopefully we'll have some special guests. I know Dom, for example, from Give Me a Whole Year is a big fan of all the Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy universe. He's been doing Howdy's hangouts on Give Me a Whole Year. So if you like digging deeper into kind of that side of wrestling and this particular storyline, then I would recommend giving them a little subscribe and view here and there as well, because they are, again, great guys diving deep into that kind of side of things with that storyline. But yeah, I reckon, go on. Yeah, I'm not bonus pointing it, but yeah, screw it. Let's say there will be.
It'd be nice. Or it's just something. Like something.
Yeah, some sort of big progression. Even if it ain't, it'll be a big clue, won't it, or something like that. So, all right, well, that's it. We are 5 matches deep into Backlash predictions there. Let us know in the comments what you think is going to go down, and we would love to have you back with us, whether you're watching live or on demand. We appreciate your comments, we appreciate your views, and we appreciate your subscriptions as well. We'll hope to see you back here with us on Saturday. It's going to be at a decent time for us, Rob. 6 p.m. UK time. That's kind of surreal. But
it's a good time, isn't it?
It is a good time. I can't wait, mate. It's gonna be a fun one. And thanks for joining me, Rob. Thanks to everyone that's joined us live again or on demand. Really do appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Press the wrong one. All right, ready? Oh, yeah. All right. Hello, and welcome to, the live portion of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Build Up Special. We are here to talk all things Backlash. I hope you enjoyed the little preview there before we got here live. It was myself and Rob from a few days ago talking about Backlash, and our predictions are locked in, as you would have seen from the original prediction show. But now it's about getting ourselves hyped up and in the mood for Backlash. We are, just under 45 minutes away from the first ever PLE in France. You would have seen it just a moment ago. Our instant reaction will be coming to you straight after the show has gone off air as well. So we'd appreciate, if you haven't already, please subscribe and join us for that stream as well. But hey, it's not about that one. Right now, it's all about, it's all about the build-up, as we say. It is time to talk wrestling. It is time to talk Backlash. Well, I say that, past Scott was already here talking wrestling and talking Backlash. But it's time for current Scott. Having seen what went down on SmackDown, which, by the way, guys, was unbelievable as far as a go-home show goes, right? Such incredible atmosphere, and I think this is the thing that they're really banking on. Let's be honest, the card, as previous Scott said just a moment ago, I'm hoping for something big. I'm hoping for something kind of special here, because last Backlash last year in Puerto Rico, that's exactly what we got, a card that felt underwhelming, but then it was very different on the night. But yes, they did have their hometown guy of Bad Bunny, and that was a little different as well. We don't have that this time. We don't have a French hero or a French pop star or anything like that, or even a French heel to kind of work with. But I still think there is potential here for some surprises. Speaking of which, a lot of rumors going around on X tonight. It's weird seeing, as you can see, it's still quite light out there. Feels weird anytime we do these kind of streams and there's not pitch black, but there we go. So I'm here, I got my beer ready, and we are ready to go deep dive into this build-up show, and I hope you are as well. Let us know in the comments, guys, what you think is going to happen tonight on this very special PLE. And look, again, all week, I know people have been saying, the card, this, that, whatever. As I've been saying, Backlash is a difficult one anyway. On top of that, you've got the fact that the draft has been wreaking havoc on the build to Backlash, which has really not been great. They do need to sort something out there. Don't know what they can do, but maybe they need to fix the calendar. We were going to do a video a little while ago about fixing the PLE calendar to try and, or the WWE calendar overall, to try and kind of fit these things a little bit better. And I do think since Triple H has come in, it's not been as necessary, but there are still these problems. Again, this mania to Backlash period, and even the Chamber one, which has always been hit and miss, to be fair, but Royal Rumble to Chamber to maybe having a fast lane in there as well to WrestleMania has been a little bit shaky lately. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, let's get into the card. Let's talk about some predictions as well. Again, as I mentioned earlier on, myself and Rob did do the main predictions and preview. That's what you've been watching on the first portion of this stream so far. Thank you for those that have stuck around and kind of continue to check us out. And to anyone that's subscribes as well. Really do appreciate you. It is incredible seeing this channel grow. Again, we come from the main Rebellious Noise channel, but now we've branched off into a little wrestling channel of our own as well. Plenty of content to get you by, not just predictions and preview episodes like that, but also interviews with WWE superstars, the likes of LA Knight. Yeah, I couldn't resist, guys. I tried not to do it. But the likes of LA Knight, I've had conversations with him on this very channel. For you guys are wonderful subscribers. I've had great conversations in the past with the likes of Zelina Vega and Bayley as well, just to name a few. But tonight, again, it is all about Backlash. And we don't really have a presence from any of those guys on tonight's show. Maybe I should have picked some better interviews to plug, but still, you know what I'm talking about. Check it out if you haven't already. But let's get into some of these predictions, guys. What we're going to do, we're going to bring in some videos from some other members of the Rebellious Noise team who sadly couldn't make it tonight, but we're going to have a little kind of virtual chat with them, if you will. Lucas has been sending on. He is in sunny Dubai, believe it or not. He is telling us what he thinks. It's weird enough because he's not exactly far from, the Saudi Arabian shows. Maybe he could have stayed on for a little bit longer, but let's see what he's got to say. We're going to send through some of the videos now. Let's have a look what he's got, what he's sent us. I'm just getting him ready in the back end. Let's have a little look at what Lucas has had to say. Right. Once again, guys, get your comments in. Let us know what's going on tonight. What do you think we're going to see tonight on the show? It's a big one. It is exciting. I mean, again, didn't feel like that in the build, did it? But it does now because we've got a little bit of a preview of what these fans are like out there in France. But talking about fans out there in another country, let's hear what Lucas got to say about Backlash overall.
So yeah, I thought I'd weigh in with my thoughts on what will be the main event, or what hopefully be the main event of the pay-per-view, which is the match between Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. Now, an interesting one, this is AJ Styles is also the first challenger, I believe, for a couple of other former like WWE champions. He seems to be that kind of go-to guy for the company, and it's bonkers fact that he's now had more matches in WWE than he ever had in TNA or Impact Wrestling, which is just bonkers. Like, who would have thought we'd have got here? Is he maybe a contender for like the most successful kind of signee? I mean, I guess you got like Rollins, but Rollins is very early on to his Ring of Honor career. But AJ Styles was like a globally known like TNA guy, and now obviously he is, wrestling for their was their competition at one point, I guess. But yeah, anyway, my thoughts on this match are a very kind of easy default win for Cody. It's interesting that they've had kind of AJ back to being a bit more of the babyface role. You would have thought potentially that they would have kept him as the bad guy. It seems that maybe they just want that kind of wrestling match, wrestling match in front of the crowd, and not to obviously have to worry too much about anything else. But yeah, I'm predicting a quite easy win for Cody, retention.
Look at that. Lucas again joining us out there in Dubai, sweating with that walk, it seems. Lovely weather out there. And here I am on the 4th of May. It's a bit sunny out, don't get me wrong. I was at the Arsenal game earlier on. It was a nice bit of weather there in North London. But it's I'm still in the beanie. So great to have Lucas joining us via satellite like The Rock used to. Some really interesting points there as well, talking about AJ Styles, and that's a crazy kind of fact, if that's true. Stat even, yeah, if that's true, because the most matches now in WWE compared to TNA, that's crazy. I mean, New Japan, he wasn't there for very long, but TNA, like, I still see AJ as, he's the TNA guy. And that's not a knock. I loved him and I loved TNA at the time. TNA doing some good stuff at the moment, called Joe Hendry, getting number 6 in the UK singles charts. Can you believe it? And guess what? Time to plug an interview with him on the main Rebellious Noise channel if you haven't seen that already. But yeah, some interesting points, like I say, from Lucas there about AJ Styles. Look, I don't see him being a threat at all in this match. That's the only downer for quite a lot of this card, let's be honest, which is why I think there will be some sort of surprise, and we'll get to that in just a moment later on in the show. But yeah, I don't see Cody Rhodes losing the title anytime soon, let alone at Backlash to AJ Styles, who, as he says, and they've been using as a storyline, hasn't had a title shot in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or something stupid like that, which doesn't sound right. Maybe it was 4, I don't know. But either way, doesn't sound right. And it is, and that's the problem. He hasn't really been well used recently in that sense to make it feel like a credible threat, at least. So, yeah, let's get to some more comments from Lucas out there in sunny Dubai.
So, still Lucas, still in Dubai with the fantastic Emirate brand, of course, and Premier Inn behind me. But anyway, I'm here to give my prediction and my thoughts on the match for the Raw's Mid-Card Championship. Not the IC title. I'm here to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship, currently held by Mr. Damian Priest, as he looks to defend against Jey Uso. Now, it's interesting because Jey Uso really is just refusing to not be over with the fans. And Damian Priest, although we have to admit that the cash-in they did and all that stuff was like grand at Mania, like they made something happen from it, it just seemed like it's a bit of a lame duck here. And I don't know whether in the Triple H, Paul Levesque era of WWE, whether he's going to let that ride out, or whether, you know, they're going to do the switch like straight away, because Jey Uso is hot, like, and there's lots of programs there for him on Raw, particularly one with the Mr. Drew McIntyre, that doesn't seem to have really resolved itself. And so, even though my initial predictions, I did use, like, I pretty much did do a coin toss for, I think that the more I kind of think about it, I kind of think they might do a switch here. I just think, they got the pot they needed. They had rectified the situation from the year before, where obviously they had Theory cash in on the shitty United States Championship, and there have been a couple of lame duck cash-ins, and I've got a lot to say about Money in the Bank. We'll save that for obviously another time. But I do think that potentially they might do a switch. So I'm gonna back Jey Uso with this one. I think that Jey Uso, is really on a roll. There's really something to him, and that he will be the person leaving Paris, France. Oh, sorry, Paris, not Paris. It's Lyon. Sorry, France, as your new world heavyweight champion.
Wow. Okay. Big claim there from Lucas. All right. Look, Damian Priest, Jey Uso, look, there's a time and a place where I can see this definitely going in that direction, right? Jey Uso could be winning this title at least, right? Main event, Jey Uso and all that stuff. But I think lately, the Jey Uso stuff has started to kind of slowly have the wheels fall off when, let's be honest, let's call it a spade. Not the best match at WrestleMania, right? And his moveset, people are saying like he needs a few kind of things to distinguish himself from his brother. And like he's got this aura that everybody's hyped about, but it's not really kind of, it's not really going the way that I guess we expected with this opportunity to be given to Jey Uso. Now, again, any other time, I could kind of see it happening, but at the moment, it just doesn't feel right. And I think to take the title off of Damian Priest, again, all the jokes, as I said on the preview earlier on that you saw, the replay of, all the jokes about him kind of not being smart enough to cash in at a good time and then, turning it around, being like Judgment Day on top. We did it at Mania. We looked great at the end of it, blah, blah, blah. To then lose the title very quickly, I think would be a bit of a downer, really, and kind of defeat the purpose. Yes, it was a moment. The whole Punk and Drew thing was incredible, but like it would be, in my opinion, quite damaging to Damian Priest. So I hope that's not the case, even though I can see, again, a scenario where Jey Uso does become World Heavyweight Champ. I just don't know if that's the right time for either of those sides of the coin really at the moment. A few comments here as well from Phoebe Jade 2024. Thanks for joining us, Phoebe. I think the White Six is debuting. Yeah, so on the original stream that we did a few days ago, and again was part of the replay here earlier on, we were speculating whether or not the White Six were going to show up. And I think something big's going to happen, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be the actual debut or re-debut or return, whatever you call it, of Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas. Now, there was a hint on SmackDown where they had the Bayley thing, I believe, as well, which I should run and get my Bayley t-shirt to let you know I'm very much in the camp of Bayley. But, yeah, whether or not it happens tonight, because that was such a big, I guess, clue last night, I'm not sure now. Whereas earlier on, you would have seen in the stream, I was saying on the replay there, that I do think given Backlash this kind of big moment would be a good thing. And like, when else are they going to do it? King, Queen of the Ring? Like, all of the PLEs until SummerSlam are outside of the States. Not saying the States are going to always get the biggest things. But that's the only thing I was thinking that they might hold out for. And they're not holding out for this until SummerSlam. Because as much as I enjoy this kind of freaky deaky behind the scenes spooky stuff, I won't enjoy it if it lasts to SummerSlam. So yeah, let's see if he comes tonight. A Critic Galaxy says going to be an amazing match. Of course, talking about the Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles. I think that's exactly it. Maybe talking about Damian and Jey Uso, which could be a good match as well. For me, with both world titles, I think the WWE one is more likely to be the better match, and I think they both have potential to be really good matches. But I just don't see anything happen as far as progression of storyline and someone taking the title for anyone. 5:30 start time PLE. Yes, please. We're about not quite half an hour away. Critic, half an hour. Backlash starts. It's not now. What's going on? Is it started early? What's going on? No, it starts in half an hour. Does it not? Are they not doing? Are you confusing me now, Critic? I don't think it. I think they're still on their countdown show, which is another weird thing. They've relabeled the kickoff as the countdown, and now the kickoff is the day before. It doesn't matter about that, guys. You've got the build up here, Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. Anyway, so stick with us instead. Right, let's get into some more of these matches. Let's get into some more of Lucas's videos to us out in Dubai once again. Let's see what he's got to say about the rest of the matches on the card. Again, some interesting opinions there. The only one I think that is going to be going for a Jey Uso win in the predictions tonight. But let's see what he's got to say about some of these other matches as well.
So yeah, it's me again as I leave Motion Gate theme park in Dubai behind me. I thought I'd give you my thoughts on the Women's Tag Team Championship contest, which is going down between the champions, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and the challengers, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Now, to be fair, this is one where there could actually be quite a few story points coming off of it. The women's tag division has been quite stale in the company as a whole. In fact, NXT probably does it better and doesn't have any tag belts on the brand. It seems, I think the issue I have, or one of the many issues I have with it, is it always seems that they never present the women as teams, just as like alliances or friends, or like, someone's assistant, or there's some sort of reason why they're together for a little bit, and it inevitably leads down the line to them inevitably kind of turning on one another, and so it kind of creates a story. It makes the story not as interesting. But in saying that, you've obviously got the Kabuki Warriors, who have been a team who have actually been able to have 2 runs in the company, which is kind of unheard of even for a male tag team, let alone the females. And then you have got Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, who are they are a thrown together team, but there's a purpose behind it. The purpose, the purpose seems to be that down the line we will be getting the Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill match, and obviously, if all things are to be believed, that could be coming fairly shortly. But does this come off the back of this match, is the situation you find yourself in? I don't know. But I think regardless, the fact that they probably want a title change in France, and it's a title which, in the nicest possible way, doesn't really mean as much anymore. I think this will be one where even if they decide to do the title change and then switch it back or onto new champions on Raw or SmackDown the next week, I think it'll be a good one just to get the pop. Something they used to do back in the day, you know, on the house shows, on the European shows, way back when. They used to change quite often either the European or the hardcore championships, then bounce them back to the champions. And there were obviously, even up until I think 2008, there were house show title changes. Not for the main WWE Championship, of course, but for the tag titles. I think the IC title also changed hands at house shows. So I think, you know, and because they're putting a lot of effort and emphasis on these international PLEs, I think it'd be very important for them to have a title change. And because I don't predict any other title changes to happen, therefore my final pick for this match is new women's tag team champions Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. There we go.
Big call there. Again, that's the kind of big conversation myself and Rob got stuck into earlier on this week as well about whether or not the turn for Jade happens on this PLE. In the end, I went for no, even though I kind of feel like the PLE needs it, if that makes sense, because look, it needs something, and I hope it gets something. You know, rumors of John Cena, Wyatt 6. Even this, to be fair, a title change, as Lucas said, let's be honest, not the biggest woohoo moment for a title change, but still one that will be a cool moment for the fans to see. And I think they deserve to get something. And as not just those that are in attendance who have, again, been incredible so far, but just for like the audience to invest in these international PLEs as well. Yeah, so I think, yeah, a change would kind of make sense. But at the same time, whether or not we get this kind of turn, I'm not sure, because it is coming. Like, let's be honest, guys. We all know it's coming, right? It's going to come soon. But whether or not it's on Backlash, I don't know. Now, we're going to get Lucas to join us in just a moment as well. Before that, I'm going to throw over to some more of these fun videos he's been sending us from Dubai as well. Great. Lucas. I think he's just out for a meal or something there. That's lovely of you, Lucas. Thanks for sending that one through. Let's see. He sent us some more. Or was it just the one? Hold on. He did send me some more. I'm gonna get this, guys. You know what? Actually, in the meantime, let me bring Lucas in. How you doing, mate?
Why did you play that video for?
I don't know. I thought you said it for the stream.
No, I sent it to show that I was in an empty restaurant for dinner. I had an upgrade to the room and everything today.
Wait, that's the one I was trying to put on. I can't find it. I don't know what I've done with it.
Okay. Maybe I was at the room tour. I'd literally give it like a little default one here quickly.
Go on, tell me. I'll find the video and you give us the default one.
I don't know if I'll spot this camera on this old stream, but I mean, I'll do it this way. I guess you can see. Like literally, I got upgraded to this like basically like a suite essentially.
Oh mate.
Like...
Oh, why is that? Did you complain about something or what?
Well, yeah, like I was a bit unhappy with the first room. Just like some of the cleaning standards weren't the best, and then like spoke to the manager today, and he was able to swap me but the thing is, he was able to swap me, and he made it out like it was like a really big deal. But then obviously I've gone to dinner and found out there's no one here.
Okay, so that's why you sent the one with no one in the restaurant. Okay, I get it. Yeah, mate.
There's 12 rooms here, like on tonight. A lot of people stay because of the flooding.
Right.
You know, because the flooding, they stayed extra nights and stuff. But obviously now the weather's the usual. I mean, obviously, look, we can talk all day about Dubai, but let's get to the crux of the matter. As in 20 minutes' time, we are about to witness the first of 3 in a row international pay-per-views.
Crazy.
I think 4 if you count Canada. I don't really count Canada. But they get treated quite a lot.
Technically speaking, though, yeah.
Yeah, it is technically speaking, but they can hop over to, shows in the northeast of America, can't they? That's quite easy. It's not like us to have to fly over. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some interesting things about Backlash. I don't know if obviously you showed the videos that I did send with predictions in them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played those already.
I got them in. Yeah, we've just been reacting to them now. So
perfect. And yeah, like it's an interesting one. Obviously, it does seem that for me it's a bit of a come down. Do you not think, like following WrestleMania, you know, to go back to like a 5-match card with not a lot of jeopardy? And I get that potentially you're trying to be excited, or potentially you're trying to, you know, just try and see the good in this. But I don't know. I just don't see them doing anything other than the default kind of show.
That's the thing. I think because of that, and you know, we've been saying this in our group chat as well. I think that there needs to be some sort of surprise. So whether it is Jade turning, or they consider it as Jade and Bianca winning the titles and John Cena showing up, because obviously that's a rumor as well. Whether it's the White Six, and that's the problem. These rumors are starting to build up, and you look back to Backlash last year. It was the same issue. You know, like it was a Backlash could be like this anyway, and then you get the draft. You know, like there's so much going on at the moment. It is too much, but there's this potential to do a surprise.
Day after the pay-per-view.
What, after WrestleMania?
Well, maybe not.
Oh, you mean after Backlash?
Yeah, just do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
or Monday night. Sorry, you know,
it's a way to get people to tune in as well.
When it gives you tune in, it doesn't throw away sometimes the matches. He hasn't been that bad with this year, but in previous years, it's obviously basically made matches very predictable. You know who's going to win. And obviously part of the fun with wrestling, I think, is obviously trying to not know that. And obviously if it's given to you a bit easier, then it gets a bit frustrating. But, you know, I'm with you. I think there are, you know, I'm getting on that train a little bit now. Like, I think there are, like, potentials or things that could happen. You're right. Like, I think there is the potential turn/winning the tag titles of Bianca and Jade Cargill. Obviously, the stuff with the White Six, but I get a feeling that might end up being on television. I don't see how they're going to be.
See, that's the thing. If they did that on SmackDown, I mean, it'd be a big rating, because that was what's holding me back. I'm like, oh, they'll do this in the States, but like you say, they're not there for ages. Like SummerSlam's the next PLE in the States, and that is way too long to drag this out for. So
I mean, because there's no one on the card tonight that I could see it being, unless they're going to do the typical comes out during or as part of the main or after the main event. Kind of
but
stuff.
Saying that at the same time, do you remember when Bray come back? Yeah. He come back after Riddle's hand being raised, and I don't remember who Riddle was facing. It was like completely irrelevant, but it was only because I saw that clip recently. I obviously remember at the time thinking that was nothing to do with the last match. Whereas when Punk come back, it was kind of like there's 10 guys in the ring. One of these I could feud with, sort of thing, and obviously everyone reacted. But when Bray come back, it was literally just to shoehorn it into the end of the show, which is a fantastic moment. Don't get me wrong, but maybe this is the same. Maybe this is just like it. Maybe it doesn't need, because I remember going to the Bray thing and the White Rabbit and all that, thinking, oh, he might do this feud, he might do that, and like even when they brought him back, he did nothing, and that was kind of the sad part about his last run, was they held off way too long. They gave him LA Knight in this branded match, and then that was it, sadly. But obviously they had bigger plans. But this is kind of a reminder of like sometimes you need to just get in there and get something going. But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if they threw Bo into nothingness, but like he kind of, it's not the same as a Bray situation, is it? Bray was a return. Like Bo, we didn't know Uncle Howdy officially was Bo anyway. So it will.
Well, this is the whole formation of a stable, and it just feels like a lot of the strands are tied more to people that are on television. Obviously, Liv Morgan, not obviously on the pay-per-view tonight.
Yeah.
You know, even though they want to go out to LA Knight, like he's not on the pay-per-view tonight either. You know, there's not really like a link there, and other than like the default of them coming out as part of one of the main events or one of the World Championship matches, I don't really see there being much to it tonight. I think John Cena seems to be the guy who they seem to be able to wriggle out of these international shows. And he probably promised France WrestleMania. Now.
WrestleMania, yeah, of course he will.
You know, and I guess if Charlotte Flair isn't, I think Charlotte Flair is more likely. You know, particularly after the SmackDown Women's Championship match, and then Charlotte and Bayley.
Is she close to a return? I don't really know the time frame for that. I know she's rumored to be there and stuff like that, but do you reckon it's more of a Cena, hey, I'm here type situation, or do you think it's an actual return?
From all things, it does seem that she is gearing to return.
Right.
And as you know, they changed the ways of how they do these injuries now, didn't they? They kind of give so long and obviously make people guess and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there is the potential. And obviously, if Charlotte Flair is going to come back, one has to imagine she's not going to just wrestle straight away on SmackDown. So she might still have a good few weeks to go.
But gets you in early.
Nice, you've got 3 weeks till Queen of the Ring as well.
Yeah.
You know, which is surely is a tournament designed for her. Well, that's the other thing. I think if she doesn't return tonight, that would be when I'd say she should return. Either as a surprise entrant or after that all goes down and she's like, hey, I'm the real thing.
That's a good point. Yeah, like it's definitely obviously part of a gimmick. So to be back for it, or if you're going to be a surprise, you need to be in it, right? Like you say, on the show. So yeah, tonight would be a good way to set that up. And there's still what? 3 weeks until that PLE.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll maybe have to get to this a little bit more in depth, you know, after the show. But it does seem like we're kind of going backwards a bit with this because it seems like, you know, previous last year the events are very spaced out. You know, perhaps too spaced out.
Good point.
That gap between Survivor Series and Rumble felt like an eternity. But it was good though. It was good.
Yeah.
You know, because it meant that the Rumble had a lot of build to it. They had a lot of TV time and storylines kind of going into it. And you know, then obviously from there it went into WrestleMania. But now it seems like they're coming thick and fast, aren't they? Maybe perhaps too thick and fast. Like WrestleMania, I think we've just digested fully, haven't we? We've just digested it. And then we're like, oh, now it's Backlash. And then, you know, before Backlash even finished, we've got to start thinking like King and Queen of the Ring.
Yeah.
You know, then they still got, obviously, the massive elephant in the room, and particularly in the UK, obviously, with Clash at the Castle. You know, and it's you know, allegedly not shifting a lot of tickets, is it, at the moment? And that is 6 weeks, you know, to the first match taking place, and no match has been announced. They can't. You have to imagine they can't really announce anything until after this King and Queen of the Ring build is kind of at least halfway done, unless they're going to not have maybe the champions on King and Queen of the Ring. And then
and I can make a distinct issue, a distinct point of even separating the two. Yeah, this is about the tournament, and this is about titles, but then that might damage the Saudi show as well. So it's a fine line.
You have to imagine they wouldn't be impressed with that either because they're paying a lot of money for these events. You know, people forget that they pay more than WrestleManias pay.
Yeah.
For their events, and you know, I wouldn't be too happy if I was in the Saudi board and seeing like, wait a minute, you're not having, you know, the new undisputed champion Cody Rhodes, and the world heavyweight champion Jey Uso.
Yeah. Sneak that one in there. Let's get on to that then. Let's get on to the whole Jey Uso Damian Priest thing, because obviously I saw your message come through. I put the video up on the screen, and again, myself and Rob talked about earlier as well. Just that, like, what I'm saying is that I could see this at some point, but I think Jey Uso has lost some steam, or people are giving him more credit than he's actually worked up at the moment, because people are getting sick of his moveset and him not differentiating himself inside the ring. At least that match against his brother didn't help. Whereas like any other time, yes, this time not the WWE, but this one I could see that's the natural progression for a character like that. But so you've got that. So this is what's put me against it. That, and then also the timing, and then the time, and also the Damian Priest thing. I think to take it off him early will be very damaging to not just him, but also the title.
Yeah, I see that, especially with obviously he won it from someone who won it from a cash-in, and so would already be on if he was to lose it tonight, the fourth champion. Obviously, you know,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, after having won for ages, you know, like.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, I guess, because I think, annoyingly, and this isn't either the performers' fault, but annoyingly, like, neither of them are really the person to be in that role, in my opinion. You know, I'd have even just given it to Punk at this rate. You know, I know he's injured, but said, look, you're the champion. Just set up your first defense for, you know, whenever you're back, Clash at the Castle, Saudi, SummerSlam. I just see this as, I think this match is very make or break, Damian Priest. Very make or break. I think this match has to absolutely be a main event level worthy match. And we've seen him do it against obviously Bad Bunny, but that was obviously home territory.
with Bad Bunny, like what you're getting, like, he is like Logan Paul. They're gifted access to the performance center to go through a lot of the stuff. They've got, all the top brass in the company looking at those matches and going, do this, blah, blah. And I think it's proving time for Damian Priest ultimately, because he's been able to have his, he had a tag team reign obviously previous to this and had someone like Balor in the ring with him at all times. He's been in the US title scene, and obviously even with that, he was given people like Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and Jeff Hardy, and like veterans based on the business to work against to help him achieve. But now we're talking about a main event match starring Damian Priest.
And a guy who is also himself trying to get into, I mean, I know it's his nickname, but trying to get into that main event level legitimately as well. So, I don't envy the man. I think it's a tough task for both of them.
It is. I mean, that's the thing. I just think Jey Uso is more ready, though. I think because if worse was to come to it, they just return to the bloodline stuff. Like if worse was, if absolutely everyone on Raw was decimated with some sort of, disease or something, the only person, and the only store they could go to would be the Bloodline, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There's 2 pay-per-view matches, or more than that, really, against Solo, Tama, Jimmy when he's back, obviously, and hope they can improve on that match they had at WrestleMania. And I just don't see the same with Priest. I think it depends as well, like, how the company are viewing him. Like, are they viewing him? It feels very much to me that they are viewing him as a placeholder for when they are able to do the Drew and Punk feud, and that feud will obviously then get the championship. It feels a bit like actually the situation you had on Raw in 2008 when they bounced the belt off of the Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels program to bounce it. Was it on the Sonic Cena was doing? I want to say. I've done it a few other times as well, but they've needed the belt, or wanted the belt in
somewhere else.
Rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, most famously, actually, to be fair, we've mentioned Jericho just there, was WrestleMania 32 with him and Kevin Owens, wasn't it? Initially for the championship. They then decided, Goldberg was really popular again, and he was, to be fair, he's really popular again. Decided to shift the belt onto Goldberg and Lesnar and run that at WrestleMania for the championship, instead of obviously Jericho and Owens. And so we've seen this happen before where that shift can just happen. And I think that's what will ultimately happen. It's just a case of, I guess, when all these people are kind of back in the picture. But if I was them, I would have just put the belt on Punk, even at Mania.
That's the weird thing.
Because he said, I want the match straight away. I want the match straight away.
And just, being fit enough to do 2 minutes of work in the ring or something, Because he said he's not...
He needs to duck the Claymore and then be able to lift Drew up.
Sure
Drew, being the hand he is.
You'd imagine,
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
I mean, he got physical anyway, right? And that's the whole thing we've been saying. He's further along than he expected at this time, which I think it means he's either going to be a Clash or something around that at least. But we'll get there at another point, of course, with those predictions. But I do think it's like I say, it's make or break for Damian Priest, and it does feel like maybe it will be going towards that other storyline, because it feels like the bigger storyline that one that makes sense for the title, and they don't want to downgrade the title, which is a harsh thing to say, I feel, to Damian Priest, who has worked very hard to get to the position he's in. And if rumors are to be believed, he was always meant to do this, like months back they had this plan sort of thing. But if that's the case, we also now have to look at like the realistic side of that I think him holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, as much as I say as the storyline made sense on the night, it was damaging to his perception towards what fans had towards him. On top of that, unfortunately, the injuries have caught up with Judgment Day, and they've lost their hype in the last 2 weeks because of Rhea Ripley's disappearing from the scene. And the Dom thing's interesting. We'll see where that goes, and the whole rumors of him and Liv and whatever else. But then at the same time, opposite from that, we have this incredible feud building between Drew and CM Punk by accident on both those parts. Drew finally stepping up as this new heel character that he's been given the opportunity to do, and Punk coming back, which no one expected until the week before Survivor Series apparently, and then also getting injured at Rumble, and it's created this incredible feud between the two, which we are way more excited to see. So as much as I do believe maybe Priest was prepped for this, realistically, there's so much going on beyond that title and his reign with it that, sadly for him, it does look like it's going to go somewhere else. Now, I don't think it's going to happen tonight. I will say I don't think Jey Uso has taken it off of him, but yeah, let's see where it goes with Damian Priest.
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting one because, yeah, I mean, it just so much really is at stake. But the thing is, it's not knowing again like this. You know, how much of this has actually been decided already? You know, has it just been decided that in the company, Drew/Punk are going to be getting the belt on this date?
Yeah,
let's just do these matches, and we're going to find a way to make it happen. And it most likely might be on TV. It could be a King Queen of the Ring. You know, it could be a Clash. We never know. Or is this a case of them saying, "Look, we're going to give you the proving ground, you know, to go." I'll just touch on it. We only got like 3 minutes to the pay-per-view actually starts.
Yeah.
Just touch on the other main event for the Undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. Obviously, that is, I don't know. I'm guessing this will be the main event. It kind of has to be. It's kind of weird if Cody's not the main event after doing this whole like I'm the face of the company and I'm the new Bret Hart and blah blah. Like it just feels a bit like, yeah, if he's not on last tonight, I think that. But then it is also a case of the World Heavyweight Championship is never on last.
Yeah, I mean, if there was any time where it shouldn't be on last, it's probably tonight. You know what? Just setting it there, again, with the pressure of 2-3 minutes before the show starts, why not Cody? Why can't White Sticks go after Cody? You know, like what's Cody doing in the next few months, right?
Well, true. I guess obviously they want to set up. They want The Rock to be back on the ceremony and obviously get his title match. I'm guessing that'll be SummerSlam.
That's a long way away. And as much as we all are excited to see Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy back, and it's a spooky, but realistically, a spooky gimmick should probably come in as a heel. Even though we're all going to go brilliant, Honor Bray, fantastic. Realistically, it's a heel character at first, at least. You know, so.
Well, the thing is, this is why maybe I do think they might do it tonight. Or they could do it tonight because when obviously Kairi Sane returned, they did that at Saudi. And I think it's because they realised that those fans will give a genuine response.
And it'll be massive. I mean, see them sing along to Randy Orton's theme song, you know?
We get a bit too smart, don't we, with it? We get a bit too like... We will do that. You know, if it happened in London, there'd be like, you know, a massive, like you said, there would be a cheer. I think there'd be a last cheer. And that wouldn't be what they'd want. But I think doing it obviously in a crowd which doesn't get wrestling that often, they get the response usually that the WWE desire. But then he also sometimes gets the fact of people not knowing who these people are. You know, because you have to remember in certain...
Yeah, but at the same time, they're also like, they are the mega fans. I'm sure there are people in Lyon, not just from Lyon, but also all over France, but other places in Europe that just want to get close to a PLE, as I should say now. Yeah. So there is that as well. And this is why tonight I think they need to have a moment because eventually it's going to wear off. The whole first time ever in X city or X country, that's going to wear off. And as much as like I'm not someone who watches the weeklies, I'll watch SmackDown because it was on a good time for us, but also because like I thought, let's see what the fans got to show for this. So they were incredible. I think tonight's going to be the same as well, and I do hope they're rewarded. But again, not just them in attendance for seeing a big PLE for the first time in maybe some of their lives, but us as viewers from afar as well. I think the storyline after WrestleMania needs a bit of some sort of kick, a bit of oomph going into kind of King and Queen of the Ring as well. So, but anyway, as you say, we are very close now, under a minute until Backlash kicks off. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight, guys. Thank you to Lucas for joining us live from Dubai. You are the new Rocky Maivia joining us via satellite. I appreciate it. We're going to be back straight after the show ends with our instant reaction review as well. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. Sign up for the notifications as well. And I've been Scott. This one's been Lucas. We'll see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Enjoy Backlash, guys.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.